Prepare yourselves for the most gruesome and terrifying story you've ever heard. The horrifying video of Henri Bource being devoured alive by a shark. Before we begin, let me set the scene for you. Henri Bource was an experienced and fearless underwater explorer. He dedicated his life to capturing the beauty and dangers of the deep blue sea. On this fateful day, he decided to push the boundaries and get up close and personal with one of the ocean's most feared predators, the great white shark. As Henri descended into the depths, he could feel the adrenaline rushing through his veins. Little did he know that this would be his last dive. Suddenly, out of the darkness emerged a massive great white shark, drawn by the scent of blood in the water. Henri's heart must have skipped a beat as he found himself face to face with this lethal predator. Henri tried to stay calm and collected, but the situation quickly spiraled out of control. The shark attacked with a ferocity that can only be described as pure terror. Henri fought back with all his flesh, but the odds were stacked against him. In a desperate struggle for survival, he realized that he was no match for the relentless power of nature. As the minutes ticked by, the battle took a horrifying turn. The shark's razor-sharp teeth tore through Henri's flesh, causing unimaginable pain and terror. Blood filled the water, creating a macabre scene that no one should ever witness. It was a brutal and merciless display of nature's raw power. However, because of the poor visibility in the water, the divers couldn't quite make out what was happening. They dove deeper, 10 meters down, and hugged the bottom. Still, they couldn't find the seals and realized they had to make an ascension. Henri broke through the surface and his head emerged. However, an incredible force hit him like a freight train the second his head broke the surface. Before he could understand what was happening, Henri knew what attacked him and threw his arms into the air to signal to the other divers. He screamed at the top of his lungs, "Shark!" Suddenly, he was torn through the water with incredible ferocity and was dragged below. He couldn't do anything about it. The water burst into chaos. The force pulling Henri down was so strong his mask and snorkel were ripped off from his face. And then from there, in a split second, he caught a glimpse of the marauding perpetrator. It was a great white shark. It was Big Ben. The creature had latched itself onto his leg. It shook him like a dog shaking someone's old slipper. Henri desperately tried reaching for the creature's eyes, but its large snout was getting in the way. He felt the searing pain of the shark's teeth puncturing his calf as he scrambled his hand across its face. Beyond the pain, there was a more pressing matter. Henri was drowning. He had been holding his breath for around 45 seconds as the onslaught continued. He was suffocating as the massive creature tugged at him and rolled him from side to side. Henri could remember the conversation he had on the boat about Big Ben. He was filled with fear and desperation. And then suddenly, the tugging and rolling stopped. Henri could almost sense a moment of peace. He swam towards the surface and broke through, gasping for as much air as he could. He groped around his left leg, but it was not there anymore. The shark had torn it away. Despite the immense shock, Henri managed to muster his focus. Dietmar and Fred reached Henri. However, he wasn't out of the woods yet, because the shark was back for more. Gaining a taste for Henri, the creature approached him again, eager for another bite at the defenseless filmmaker. However, Dietmar and Fred fought the beast off, using their small hand spears. The shark came back at least 5 times, and each time, Dietmar and Fred fought against it. The creature was so persistent in coming at Henri, the hand spears were warped in the scuffle. Eventually, the dive boat sped towards the commotion. Jill grabbed the safety line, and eventually, Henri was brought onto the boat. Henri immediately received first aid on the boat. As he bled profusely, the other divers brought him to the center and swiftly applied a tourniquet to his injury. Despite his valiant efforts, Henri's fate was sealed. He succumbed to his injuries, his life slipping away in the jaws of the very creature he sought to understand. It was a tragic end to a man who dedicated his life to unraveling the mysteries of the deep.